Welcome, everybody, to a very special Q&A, somewhat unprecedented, in fact, and we're accompanied today with Oz Linden, who is technical director now. Oz, is that right?
Yep. That's my official new title.
That's your official new title, and we're accompanied by Pete Lindens, who is global communications director. Is that right?
That's right.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thank you both very much for agreeing to do this. So there has been, we'll get right started. There's been a lot of concern about the future of Second Life, and there's been a lot of negative reaction and fears among Second Life people. And so I'm hoping that today we'll be able to resolve and reassure some folks that Second Life still has a bright future, as Linden Lab has continued to insist is true. And we're going to have a lot of questions today, so I'm going to get right started. Pete, I'm going to start with you, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to start out with a blunt question. Does Linden Lab have plans, either near or far, to shut down Second Life? Has Linden Lab discussed, planned, strategized on how they're going to shut down Second Life, or even if there is any intention of shutting down Second Life? Does Linden Lab intend to shut down Second Life?
No, absolutely not. And in fact, as I think we'll get into discussing today, we have plans to continue to improve it. No plans to shut it down. It's not going away, and we have quite a bit planned to continue to make Second Life better and better.
Wonderful. So there you have it, folks. That's it for today. Thank you all for coming. Linden Lab has no plans. Okay, let me just say, Pete, your communications director, your credibility is your biggest asset. I mean, if you didn't have credibility, it would be basically career suicide. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct.
So I think it's fair to say that Pete is not lying. And so for all the people who have these huge fears that Second Life is going to die, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. Second Life is not being shut down. Linden Lab has no plans to do such a thing. Peter, do you have... I'd like to give you the opportunity to provide a message to the community.
Great. Well, I think the main message that I'd love to get across here is largely what I've just said, which is, Oz and I wanted to come this morning to reiterate what we've said in emails and comments directly to questions, and Ebe's been saying in the forums a number of times, and that is, again, not only is Second Life not going away, but we're going to continue to improve it. It has a long future ahead of it. After 11 years as the most successful virtual world created by everyone who's here today and all of the creators in Second Life, we have no intention of abandoning them or giving up on this wonderful platform. We have a lot coming. But again, the basic message that I'd love to get across is just, it's not going away. More improvements are coming. So
keep calm, carry on, more or less.
Essentially, yes.
That really applies, I think, in this case. And something that's interesting is in the reaction that we've had from the community. Something I just want to point out. The Firestorm team. One of the reasons we're sometimes criticized because we have a private development chat, whereas everything else we do is transparent. And the reason we do that, though, is because from time to time we have disagreements and arguments, and it's kind of like in the same way that you don't families have arguments, and you don't want your neighbors to hear you arguing and fighting. It's none of their business, really. And so we kind of do the same thing. So we do have arguments and disputes, and in many ways, though, I think that's an indicator that we're on the right track. It means that if people are getting angry about something, it means that they care. And so one of the things I want to point out is that the fact that there has been such a angry reaction from the community, it's actually indicative of the fact that I think Second Life has a very strong and dedicated customer user base. And so in that way, although, there's been a lot of conjecture and upset people, I think if you look at it from the direction that it means there's a lot of people in Second Life who really care about Second Life, that should say something to Linden Lab and all of us here that Second Life is still alive and strong. It is the residents that keep things, firm and going. And so there's that. Oz.
Actually, I'd like to second that. I take all of the indications of distress and even the criticism as something very, very positive.
Yeah.
People wouldn't bother to criticize us for what they see as our flaws, and we can all either agree or disagree about whether or not individual issues are a big deal, and that's a conversation I'm looking forward to. But they wouldn't be bothering to criticize us if they didn't think Second Life was worth having, right, and worth improving.
Exactly.
And that's a conversation we'd love to continue to have. We'll try to improve the things we can improve. We will try to respond to the things that we can respond to, and we appreciate the connection with the users that we've got here.
I actually get worried when in our development processes on the Firestorm project, I get worried when we have periods where there's no fighting, because that makes me think, uh-oh, it means people aren't caring now. Something's wrong. In many ways, the fighting and the drama is, like you say, it's indicative of people caring. So I think, if nothing else, it proves that, as far as the customer base is concerned, we're all here to stay. I wanted to point out that this has come to as, and this sort of almost crosses the line, but hear me through, Oz, and Pete. It hasn't gone unnoticed in the past year or so that there's been seemingly fewer Linden code commits to the code base, and as you can attest, I've asked you a time or two in the past while that where is everybody at? What are you guys working on? Are you going to just suddenly drop us a whole great big crap load of code that we have to try to merge? And you've not been able to give me any hints to that, but so my point being, though, it hasn't gone unnoticed that there have been fewer resources put towards Second Life. Is that true, first of all?
Well, without getting into numbers, we have over the last months begun transitioning developers onto doing things for the new platform. We still very much have a very active set of developers doing things on Second Life, and I think that some of the things we're working on right now are among the most important problems in Second Life. So this is where I wanted to bring up my point, is that because there's been a lot of concern among the community that Linden Labs moved all the resources away from Second Life, and so Second Life's not going to get any kind of any real innovation and fixes and whatnot. And the point that I'm trying to make, folks, is that if Linden Lab has already moved resources over to the new platform, they've still managed to bring us materials and fitted mesh and Project Sunshine and all this huge innovations that have just come out of Linden Lab recently. They've still managed to do that despite having fewer dedicated resources on Second Life. So for the people who are concerned about, oh my gosh, Linden Labs moved all the resources away, so nothing's going to happen, I say it's already been proven to us in the past year, even the past 6 months, that is not the case. And in fact, Linden Lab is still more than capable of continuing to improve and develop Second Life. Yeah, and I'd add a couple of things to that. One is that the fact that we have somewhat smaller team engaged in doing things, we've we are in the process right now of going through an exercise that we do pretty regularly of looking at all the possible project ideas, things that we could fix, things that we could add, things that we could change in a variety of ways, right? We kind of keep a big list of those around, and we're constantly adding to it, and periodically we go through the exercise of saying, okay, what's the most important stuff now, right? We're finishing up something. We're going to have to pick what the next thing to do is, so let's sort the list by what we think the priorities are right now so that we're launching the right next thing. The fact that we have a little bit smaller team now has really helped to focus that discussion, right? We can no longer afford to say, let's just do a lot of different stuff. We have to look at what are the things we can do that will have the biggest impact, that will affect the most users in the most positive ways. I think that's actually been kind of helpful to have that extra focus. And one other thing about having a smaller team, first of all, it's not yet a lot smaller. We still have a significant number of people very actively engaged in working on Second Life, and we're not going to get into numbers about what percentage that is or what the absolute number of people are. For one thing, it's just sort of company policy not to do that. But more importantly, any number I could give you today would be wrong by next week,
right,
and would be different again a few months after that. We have people that are moving back and forth. We have a very firm commitment from the people who are managing the new platform effort that when we have a good need for the expertise of the people that have shifted their primary attention to the new platform in order to accomplish something important in Second Life, that we can call on their expertise, we can call on their time, and we can get them to do stuff. And in fact, that's already happening. It's already working. So we'll pull people back. There are people who are working on the new platform now that the plan is for them to finish the thing that they're doing for the new platform and then move back to being a Second Life core developer, and focus primarily on Second Life. And there are people who are working primarily on Second Life now who the plan is that they will move to the new platform in the future. So it's a set of numbers that's going to be constantly in flux, and it will both go up and go down over time as our needs dictate.
So basically, it's a fluid situation, because a lot of people got the impression through Ebby's words that basically they've just kind of taken a knife and cut the team into a fraction and moved everybody statically onto the new project. But in fact, what you're saying is that it's dynamic and always changing and fluid, so that if you need somebody, say from the server team, to do something that needs to be done in order to continue to improve Second Life, they can be reassigned to that temporarily, or even just have that added to their to-do list kind of thing.
Right, absolutely. And one other thing about that, I mean, I went through kind of a process with Linden Lab management to try to get the new position I'm in now. I mean, this is something I wanted.
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah.
I mean, I wanted this. This was not some kind of booby prize that got handed me. I got a couple of IMs from residents who I'm sure they were mostly kidding and mostly all in fun, but saying oh, poor Oz, he got left behind. Poor Oz did not get left behind. Lucky Oz got exactly the job he was looking for.
So you are beyond a shadow of a doubt convinced that by taking on the lead of this position that you have a very bright future ahead of you.
Absolutely.
And with that, Second Life.
This was exactly the job I was looking for quite some time, and I'm really delighted to have it. And more importantly than that, is it's also true that when I took on this job and we were We were internally having the discussions about how many people we could move onto which projects and so forth. I got asked by management, how many people do you need to be effective continuing to build and improve Second Life? And I came up with a number, and I've got that number. And
was it a generous number?
It was the number I wanted. I kind of like smaller teams, frankly. But it was the number I was after. It was the number I thought I would need to be effective at the new job, and I'm really happy with the set of individuals I got. And that's another thing we're not really going to get into. Those of you who interact a lot with Lindens will eventually be able to
figure it out
who some of them are from commits on the viewer and so forth. But of course, you don't get to see the commits on the simulator side. But the number one criteria for me in choosing that team and in recruiting that team was I wanted people who were enthusiastic about remaining focused on Second Life. That was what they wanted to do, just as it's what I want to do. And that's what I got. I had people come to me who said, you know what? The new thing may be a great new thing, but Second Life is what I came here to work on. Second Life is what I'm into, and I want to stay on Second Life. I want to make Second Life better. Everybody on my team said that to me.
So that's awesome. So,
yeah,
I mean, that says a lot. That says a lot right there.
It's great. Listen, I've had a pretty long and happy career in programming, and I have, in the course of that career, worked on a bunch of very successful things, successful companies that producing successful products that had good user engagement and were making money. And I've also had some phases of my career where things I was working on turned out not to work out so well, and or companies that were in one way or another in the process of failing. Let me tell you, it is a whole lot more fun to work on things that are successful. It is just much better. And Second Life is way up high on the list of very successful things I've worked on, and I'm really delighted with that. And I want to keep that true because it's more fun to work on things that are working.
We can certainly attest to that with Firestorm. And also, just speak quickly to working on a smaller team. We're actually, as one of the advantages that third-party viewers have with working on a smaller team is there's less gears that need to be turned, whereas like in a corporation there's a big long process, and you know the phrase the corporate gears turn slowly, and with a smaller team there's lesser load on that, and things tend to roll a bit quicker. Peter, I want to talk to you quickly about on Oz's topic, in fact, about Second Life being very successful.
Sure.
One of the things that I pointed out at the SL11B talk that I did with Safia, I come from a business background, and from a business perspective, a company that has a profitable product does not get rid of that profitable product. Is that sound advice?
I'd say that's certainly true as far as we're concerned, and as far as I don't come from a business background. I come from just marketing and PR background, but that's certainly my understanding. And with Second Life, as Oz was saying, it being successful, and as I mentioned, the most successful user-created virtual world ever, as you may have seen Ebe speaking about to the press recently. That's certainly the Second Life's success is certainly one of the reasons why I think everyone can be confident that yes, it will continue.
Is it safe to say, and I know some of this will have to be speculation, but let's assume that the new platform is a great success. Is it safe to say Lynn and I will still market both platforms?
Yes, I think that question's been posed to Ebe a number of times in the forums, and what he said and both there and what he said to the press has been very clear that the intention is that even once the new platform finally starts opening to the real world, the idea is to have these two platforms run in parallel.
So effectively, two products.
Right. And as I think most folks here are probably aware, Linden's actually been a multi-product company for some time.
Right.
But I think the main difference would be that this new platform that Eb has just started speaking about publicly now, would be sort of more, obviously in the spirit of Second Life and more sort of a very close fit for our core competency as a company.
So Second Life better, but the main message is that Second Life will still be Second Life. It's not going anywhere.
That's correct.
What would you say to people? As you know, there have been a lot of people who are even leaving Second Life to start on a new grid, which I think is ridiculous because they're effectively doing what they're afraid they're going to have to do. But there's a lot of people who are, I'm not going to buy land anymore. I'm not going to spend my money in Second Life anymore. It's just a waste. Would you have any message for those people?
Yeah, I've seen a few comments to that effect, and I think there are a few things that I'd note in response. One is this new platform, this new project that's underway, is quite far off. It's which is part of the reason why it's so early for us to sort of too early for us to talk about it much in detail. But right. It's so far off that in terms of getting people in, starting to get the first sort of alpha and beta users into it, that is unlikely to happen before next year. So one is it's a very long ways off. Two, again, Second Life is not going away. So in terms of seeing value, getting the value that we all do from virtual worlds today, I'll still get the value from Second Life that I get today, tomorrow, and next year, and so on, because it's going to be here. So, there isn't, as I've said, there isn't a plan to shut it down. There isn't sort of a cliff that it's going to suddenly drop off of. And then lastly, I think for now that's basically what I'd say. Again, Second Life is not going away. This new platform that we're working on is quite a ways off before we start being ready for users, and because they'll run in parallel, as one of the points that Eva has made has been that they'll be running in parallel. There will be a lot of time for every Second Life user to go and check out this new platform and see if it fits what they're interested in, what they need, and what they want. And if it's not, maybe they'll stay in Second Life.
So, in the end, though, for all intents and purposes, as far as Second Life is concerned and the users in Second Life, nothing has changed.
Yeah, well, I think that for all intents and purposes, that's exactly true. I think really all that's changed from this week versus a couple of weeks ago is that we as a company have taken an additional step to be more transparent about here's what we're working on, here's what's coming, and so that all of our users can sort of know what to expect, or at least have an understanding that sometime in the future this new thing is coming.
That's a good segue. Oz, what's coming to Second Life? What are you guys working on?
Yeah, that was a good segue. Nicely done.
Very, very well done. Not even planned.
We've got a bunch of things in development right now, and a lot of those will be coming out in a form that you can use them on quickly. We'll have an announcement of the beginning of the Experience Keys beta later today. It's still very early California time, and those things happen from California, so we'll gotta give them time to have their coffee and get organized, but you'll be seeing more on that later today, and that's going to be very exciting. I actually think that Experience Keys is Experience Tools in general is a something that's it's going to take some time for people to appreciate how to use it well, and I'm sure that over time we're going to find ways to improve it and expand its scope. But it's going to make creating richer experiences, much smoother and much better, and more accountable, by the way, in Second Life, and I think that will be really valuable. So just to answer the question in chat very, very quickly, experience keys is a way of aggregating all the permissions that scripts need to manipulate your avatar into just one permission that's easily traceable back to the creator of those scripts, and eliminates the constant pop-ups of scripts asking permission to do things, and is even stable across sessions. It's going to be very, very cool. And the details will be announced later today. So,
going to be a Twirly vid?
There is, in fact, a Twirly vid. So, for all of the Twirly fans out there, be watching for that.
Yay, Twirly!
It's a good one.
Is it good?
It is a good one. It's fun.
Documentation.
And there will be documentation and a blog post, all the usual goodies. And in fact, I think they're in very, very good shape. We'll have a project viewer coming out that people can use to try things, and it's going to be cool. Watch for the blog post. So that's coming, and I expect there will be ongoing development with that for a time. That will inspire new projects that we don't even know what they would be yet, because users always surprise us with their ways of using what we do, and that's a great thing, by the way. It's terrific. It makes life interesting and dynamic. Let's see, other things that we're doing. Everybody's favorite problem, group chat.
Really?
We are working hard. We have been for some time now working hard on group chat. We've been looking very deeply, much more deeply into why the problems exist than we ever have before. We've added a lot of instrumentation to the way it's implemented, and we have learned a lot from that. We've begun making some changes, and some of those changes are having measurable effects. They're not yet dramatic, and I'm not sure that any given change we make over the period of the next few months is going to be the dramatic change. Maybe, but maybe not. It may well be that we have to do some fundamental restructuring, and then if that's true, we're liable to have lots to discuss at our third-party viewer meetings to make sure that everybody can take advantage of new ways of doing things. We're going to be upgrading the hardware that the group chat servers run on. I believe this week or possibly next. We won't announce when that is, because it would be bad science to tell anybody what had happened. We want to watch the stats. We now have very good visibility into what the performance and failure rates are. So we have the way to measure what's going on. We actually don't need subjective people doing the measuring. It's very laggy, and in fact we know in painful detail how laggy it is, and we're gonna keep working on it until we make it better. Hopefully a lot better. It's with any performance problem, it's very difficult in advance to be able to say, here's the specific thing we can achieve in a specific time frame. But we're just going to keep iterating on it, and I think the team is making great progress. So that's a piece of what our SL developers are focused on today. We've got another part of the team focused right now on improving the web framework in the viewer. Right now, the viewer uses something called WebKit, which is an older and an older set of web support software that doesn't appear to have much of a future. That project it has kind of gone stale, and in the web world has been supplanted by a a better implementation that came out of Google called the Chrome Embedded Framework. We are working on supporting moving the viewer from WebKit to the Chrome Embedded Framework, which we think will solve a bunch of media on a prim problems that a lot of people have, make it work better, and certainly give us a better future platform to work on. And in fact, that project illustrates something that I think reinforces our message that we're continuing to invest in Second Life. That's the kind of project that if we were planning on shutting Second Life down or de-emphasizing it or letting it go or putting it into maintenance mode, it's a hard project. It's complicated.
And expensive, right?
It's a lot of work. It's taking a very focused and intense effort from a bunch of people. It's going to involve touching a lot of software. It would not be worth doing at all if we were planning on shutting this thing down. It just wouldn't. We would never do it. We would just say we'll limp along on the old cruddy old stuff that we've got. The fact that we're not doing that we're investing in the actively maintained, continuing to grow way of doing things is really what it's is really speaking to what we're trying to achieve here.
And in fact, I mean, if you look back at because this new platform, we kind of get the impression has been in the works for a long time, and yet Linden Lab has invested a lot of money in the last year or two just in improving Second Life with Project Sunshine and the new inventory protocols and network protocols and all that stuff.
Yeah, so it's also an example. The CEF project, Chrome Embedded Framework project, is also an example of something else that got looked at as first as a solution for other platforms that within the company that we were looking at, including the new virtual world platform. And after looking at it for those other projects and platforms, we said this is something we can leverage in Second Life. We're going to take advantage of what other teams have done and leverage it back into Second Life. And that's something we're going to do wherever the new platform and other project teams have made progress we can take advantage of. So right now the lead group working on that is the Second Life core development team, but that's not actually where it started.
I want to we're going to need to start cutting into user questions in a moment. Just one more thing quickly is those are just the things we're working on right now.
There's one other one which is it's continuing to improve texture and mesh loading speeds, and I think we're going to make some very dramatic changes there.
Is that with Project Interesting, or is that through Network?
No, this is actually the last phase of the HTTP improvements.
Oh, nice. Which have been great, really well done.
Project Shining. I'm an HTTP geek from way back, so this is something that's near and dear to my heart, and it's something that I have been advocating for many years, literally since weeks after I got to the company. Over 4 years ago now, and it's really pipelining among other things. But it's really exciting, and the early test results of the latest improvements are extremely encouraging. I'm really
so these are things that because there's going to be people who are saying, "Oh, sure, you're just finishing up the things that you've been working on." But I understand you guys have a big to-do list of things that you're going to, once you're done these things, you've got more things still coming. Is that right?
Yep. It's difficult today to tell you what the next set of projects will be. I mean, what are the things I've talked about are the things that we're actively engaged in right this minute. We're in parallel with that. We've been doing a quite wide-ranging effort to look at all the possibilities for what we might do next, and we're in the process of sorting that list and picking out the high-value items off the top. I'm happy to say that many of the things that the development team has suggested have been coming out pretty well in that sorting process. But that process isn't finished, and we haven't really picked out what the next things are. That's okay, because what we're doing right now is going to keep everybody busy for a little bit longer. We've got time to think about it, do it carefully, consider feedback from the community, and we'll be talking about those things as we launch projects. One of the things that we intend to do is talk about what we're doing earlier in the process, and more actively and interactively with the community over time.
Okay. So exciting things. Pete, Linden Lab has, we've heard from Oz, Linden Lab has every intention to continue to fund these things, correct?
That's right.
Okay. We're going to jump to audience questions. Unfortunately, folks, there's going to be so many questions, and we've only got 42 minutes left. So we can't get to all of them. Letta Pognier, sitting here next to me, has been monitoring nearby chat as well as the blog comments. Safia is watching the live stream, so those of you on the stream, your questions are being monitored, and we will try to get through to the best of them. We can't get to all of them. Oz, Pete, be prepared. I expect most of the questions are going to be about things that, can you fix this, can you fix that? Letta, all yours.
Yes. Hi there, everybody. I'm your question wrangler today. So, no offense if questions aren't gotten to. We already had quite a few that were left on the blog that was asking for questions to be asked today. And also, anything that has to do with the new platform rather than SL, I'm afraid, will not get touched on. The one question that has been coming up in my IMs and on the blog over and over and over has to do with tier. So I've got 9 questions about tier. LL badly needs to lower the cost of renting Sims in SL. What are the chances of that happening? Would they consider the creation of new types of regions and altering the tier costs accordingly? Linden Lab cut development investments for Second Life substantially. Will fees for customers be cut substantially as well? If not, why not? If yes, in which way? The rest are very similar to that, so I guess we can probably start with that. Oh, and if Linden Lab is investing time and money into a new platform, will costs be drastically reduced in the old one? And so that one's similar, but a little bit more general.
Sure.
Sounds like you, Pete.
Yeah, I can hop in here. So, unfortunately, I have a feeling this will be a very unpopular answer, but the short answer for at this morning is that we haven't announced any pricing changes. There isn't. I can't say that any would certainly be coming. We're definitely aware of the frequent conversations around this, and it's certainly something that if we were to have changes to announce, you can bet you'd be hearing a lot more from me and pretty much every other Linden on it. But at this point, we don't have any news to share on that.
So, folks, because I've seen that question all over everywhere, so there you go, guys.
Yeah, that's for sure the burning question. Then I've got a growing list of questions on specific projects. You already talked about group chat. Some of the others are, what are Oz and his team going to do about texture memory errors, which as far as I know mostly affect people running on ATI cards? Do you want to start with that one and we can just go down the list?
Yeah, we've actually got 2 changes in the... I didn't talk about them as things that we're working on right now because they're actually things that are mostly finished right now. But they're in QA internally. The one is a project to... And it may take a little time for them to get out. This is the sort of project that you do very carefully because you have the potential to mess up people really badly. And so we're trying hard not to do that. But we've got one set of changes that eliminates using the GPU card name as a way of recognizing what it's capable of. those of you who have had the frustrating experience of buying the latest and greatest brand new GPU card and then having Second Life decide that it doesn't know what it is and therefore you get basic graphics. We're going to do better than that in the future. We're going to do much more dynamic thing. We're not going to rely on the name. And that I think will improve things in one set of ways. And the other thing we're going to be fixing is many of you will have noticed that we don't use all of the video the video memory on your video cards, and it turns out that that's because of a very old bug that plagued us a long time ago, and we sort of arbitrarily, in order to avoid tickling the bug, we capped how much memory we would ever use it, and so we are now in the process of fixing that so that we measure how much memory is there, and we use what we think is a reasonable share of that memory. So it turns out it's not a good idea for Second Life to try, or any application to try to use all the video memory on the card, because in fact that will cause the rest of the system to get screwed up. So but the people who really understand that sort of thing are doing a focused effort to try to get that squared away. Development on that is primarily done. I mean, and it's in QA now. Of course, it may get tossed back to the developers if big problems are discovered. But so we're making progress on that. Whether or not that will completely solve texture memory errors is anybody's guess right now. But that's something that we're going to continue to spend a lot of time and effort on, and because of course, if you can't see the world, then what good is it to have a virtual world?
Okay, great. Let's see. Next question. Next topic. Oh, well, I bet you've never heard this one before. Group size. There have been a few questions about whether there would be any changes to that. The number of groups that people can have. Would it be increased past 42?
That's the sort of thing that we'll look at. We're not actively looking at that right this minute. It does turn out that the number of groups people are in is an important aspect of the chat lag problems. That's one of the things that we've learned about.
So the more groups, the more chat lag.
It's a strong contributor, yeah. And we're trying to figure out how we can ameliorate that, make that not such a big contributor to the performance issues. So if we're able to reduce the impact that has on chat lag, then we might be able to increase that limit someday. But right now the focus is on getting chat working better, and then we'll see. But we don't have any plans to change that number right now.
Okay. There are questions about any progress with the development of virtual landmarks.
That's one of the projects that was on the list of things we're sorting right now. It's done pretty well in the sorting process. Whether or not how soon it will reach the top of the list, I don't know. There hasn't been anybody who said it's a bad idea. In fact, everybody has said it's a good idea. I think I'm optimistic about that one. I think it's a good idea, but as I said, we haven't really picked what the next projects will be, and until we've picked them, I can't predict when they'll happen.
Okay. Could you ask about the future of skill gaming in Second Life? Will it continue to be allowed in its current form, or is Linden Lab looking to make changes to its wagering policy?
Oh, gaming.
Yeah, gaming.
Pete, that would probably be to you.
Yeah, I don't think I have any news to share on that this morning. Our policy disallowing games of chance certainly wouldn't be changing, though.
Alrighty. Any plans that might affect child avatars in SL? As an addition or elaboration, it says it's good to see Linden Labs stepping up with bannings and age play and taking a good stance on cleaning the place up and hopefully shutting down the all ages beach sims. But the person is also concerned about phasing out child avatars.
That's an unusual question. Pete?
I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that question?
Are they planning on phasing out child avatars in the current SL? It's good to see stepping up with bannings and age play.
No, I don't think we have any plans to change our current rules around that.
Question about any plans to improve in-world search engine.
Right. So, Oz, maybe that would go to you. There's been a lot of complaints about it's WebKit, but the online or the web search through the viewer returns a lot of irrelevant results.
There's been discussion about it. It's not clear what the right approach to improving search is. It's something we're very much aware is a source of distress, and I'm not sure what the right answer to that is going to turn out to be. There are a couple of small projects that are on our project list, our potential project list, that are relevant to that. That's such a wide-ranging issue that my guess is that it's not the sort of thing we're going to end up having a big bang project to address. It would be too large and too nebulous to get going on. So what I'm hoping that we can do is discover a series of small improvements we can make that will contribute to a larger solution over time. But I don't really have anything that we can talk about yet that I can tell people to look forward to. It's certainly well up there on the list of things we know are problems and therefore are looking for solutions to.
The to-do list.
Yeah, or the things we wish we could do list, at least.
Alrighty, and I bet I know the answer to this one, but are there plans to ever bring back assigned last names to new residents?
I'm afraid I don't have a firm answer on that. I know that that's an issue that's been raised to Ebe, and I know it's something that I think he's thought about. But I don't think that we can commit to a yes on that at this point.
Okie doke. So let's move away from the specific project questions for a moment. There's another set of questions that have to do with what people in world can do concerning the, I guess, the concerns about the new platform and how it will affect SL. So I've put some of these together. One question is there anything we can do together to help settle people's nerves? Another person asks, what will benefit SL growth the best, keeping new visitors or encouraging more spending by current residents? And another person asks, how would someone who might be interested in assisting with the continued growth of Second Life community become more involved?
Well, let's see. I think I can provide a quick answer to the first one. That being, what can we do to reassure people? We're doing it right now. So we can talk about what we're doing. We can talk about the improvements we're in the process of making, and we're going to keep on doing that as we continue to add new projects and new capabilities. We'll start talking about them as early as we can, and that's and I think that we've all seen a big change in the last few months in how open Linden Lab is being. I mean, the fact that we talked about the new platform is itself a part of that openness. So I think you can count on us continuing to do that.
There's been a big change in communications from the lab, well, since EBI, really. That's going to continue to improve, I presume.
I certainly don't think it's going to regress. I hope that it's going to continue to operate as well as it has been operating lately, and I fully intend to be part of that.
Does that answer the bulk of the question, Letta?
Well, I believe maybe. I think I think these folks are concerned about what they personally would be able to do and what is going to be, what actions on the part of SL users are going to be most beneficial for keeping SL growing.
What can Second Life users, Peter? What can Second Life users do to keep Second Life going?
I would say two things. One is what we've all been doing for the past 11 years or whatever portion of it. Everyone here has been active in Second Life. There's, keep logging in, keep creating things, talking to each other, interacting, shopping, creating everything that we all do week in and week out. Continuing on with that is huge. It's hugely helpful and keeps Second Life this vibrant environment that it is. Beyond that, as the marketing guy, I'd say, tell your friends, talk to folks in your offline lives in the physical world. Encourage them to come check it out. As we've been telling the journalists we've been speaking with recently, Second Life today is really better than it ever has been in its 11-year history. Thanks to the work that smarter folks than I, like Oz, have been doing. It runs better than it ever has. It's more stable than it ever has. The features are more impressive than they ever have been. So by all means, not only keep using it yourself, but keep encouraging friends to come check out this wonderful virtual world.
So basically, just keep enjoying Second Life.
That's exactly what I would say.
That's
yes.
Not so hard
Thank you for saying it more succinctly.
I mean, it's not hard to do, guys. Just keep doing it. Just enjoy it. Okay, next question.
Alrighty, the next set of questions, next topic is about in-world security, being safe, griefer-free. Does that mean starting to enforce TOS so people don't have to abandon mainland due to pure ugliness? Is there anything you're planning on doing about griefers, harassment, and account hijacking? There are also questions about SIM crashing and copy botting as well. So are there any plans to focus more on that area of things in SL?
Governance, basically.
Well, there are at least two distinct issues there, right? There's the governance aspect, which is not something either Pete or I are directly engaged in. We actually are very careful to keep governance activity, that is the responses to TOS problems and the responses to abuse reports, as a very separate part of our activities within Linden Lab. The rest of us don't do that so that we can interact normally with people. That's one thing, and I really can't, I don't think we can speak to any of that right now. However, lots of the activities that people who are deliberately disruptive in Second Life rely on is problems with the software, right? I mean, if they can lock up your viewer by exploiting some bug in the viewer or exploiting a problem in the sim to overload it and lag everybody out or whatever it is, then those are very high priority projects. As we discover ways to exploit problems in the software, those always move very close to the top of the list, and those aren't even accounted for in our list of ongoing projects. They're just high priority interrupts that we try to deal with quickly. And so very often you've all seen the release notes on a simulator role that say addresses a security problem. That's what those are, right? They're, by and large, they are introducing some change that makes a griefing mechanism not work anymore. Those are just high priority, constant time activities. We do those all the time, and it's complicated software there, and we have Second Life has a marvelously inventive user community in every respect, and unfortunately one of those aspects is that the people who are trying to be disruptive are if not as pleasant, they are as creative as the rest of the Second Life population, and so it's kind of a constant arms race, but it's something that we are most definitely committed to keeping at the top of our priority list.
I think we have time for one more question.
Alrighty, so as you can tell, I've been lumping them together. The next lump has to do server. One person asks, for the past couple of years, the development rate for new viewer releases and server updates has been fairly impressive. Will things slow down or remain about the same? And this is not exactly identical, but was wondering if there is any chance in the future for the SL server-side code to be open source.
Oz, you get the first one. Pete, you get the second, I think. We all know what the second is.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether the user visible change rate will be all that different. It's very difficult to say because while we're going to have a somewhat smaller group of people doing that development, as I said earlier, we're going to be choosing our projects for maximum impact and maximum visibility very carefully. So whether or not the perceived rate of change will be greater or smaller, I invite you to help me measure that over time. I think it will be. I think it will continue to be impressive.
Peter, does Linden Lab have plans to open source the server code?
No, not at this time.
Yeah, I'm actually quite glad to hear that. So, I'm afraid we're out of time, folks. But I just want to do a quick summarize. Is that Second Life is still going? Nothing really has changed in regards to Second Life. To keep Second Life going indefinitely, just keep on doing what you're doing. Enjoy Second Life. Tell your friends. The more people we can get into Second Life, the better for all of us, even regardless of any of this, new news that's going on happening. Second Life just gets better with more people. Peter, Oz, I want to thank you both very much for coming. And Oz, thank your dog as well. Your dog is going to be an internet meme now, I think. And I want to thank everybody else. Those of you on the stream and those of you in the audience, thank you. And the crew of people that are filming the live stream right now, Pantera, who's doing the recording, and we will have the recording up on the website as soon as it's available. I just want to thank everybody. And I wish we had more time, but maybe we can do this again.
Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Maybe at a better time of day.
Fine time of day.
Well, it works for you, not so much for Peter.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, that's a bit of a struggle with the Californians. What can I say?
Yeah, silly people living over there. Thank you all, and with that, I think we will sign out.
Hey, Jess.